So let's get into this content, man. All right, so you guys are here because you saw the promo on Alora's wonderful social media channels and you want to know, how do you raise your prices and close more deals without doing any extra work, right? And this is going to be the underground playbook for budding freelancers. So if you're somebody who's a creative, if you're somebody who is just a creative person, someone who's a designer, someone who's an artist, someone who sells their services, someone who's a consultant, someone who wants to use their creativity and experiences to escape the 9-to-5 wage slavery trap, as I like to call it, this is going to be for you, right? So like I said, my name is Malik Mbaye, and we got folks joining the waiting room like every couple of seconds. So as they come in, you may see me stumble a bit as I admit folks. I apologize for that, but I just want to make sure everybody who joins gets a chance to take advantage of this content. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. I want to make this as interactive as possible. So Alora team, if you guys can monitor the chat, see if there's anything there, and you can feel free to jump in if there are any questions that you feel would be good for us to discuss live as I'm going through this, because it's a small group. So I feel like we don't have to make it like a one-way communication thing, right? So if you guys see something that resonates with you, you guys can tune in. We got Tiffany Pittman in the building. Shout out Tiffany Pittman, right? So feel free, and if you don't want to interrupt and you don't want to interrupt the flow, that's totally fine. You can write your questions down, and then I'm going to leave time at the end for Q&A, and we can talk about anything you guys want to talk about. We can get as specific as possible. We can get as broad as possible. If you want to brainstorm on your particular situation, let's do that, right? Like, I'm personally committed to staying on for Q&A as long as is necessary, right? If anybody else has to drop off, that's cool, but I want to make it my mission to give you guys the most value possible. And so if that sounds like something that you guys are excited about, let me get some emojis or something in the chat. Let's get the chat popping. We need to have the chat popping the whole time. All right. So now let's get into this content. Okay. So what is the goal here? Like, what are you guys going to leave here with? I want to ground you in like what we're actually doing here, and what the vision is. Okay. So the goal is to help you guys understand why some people are getting paid 10x and 100x for the same work that you're actually doing as a creative, and how you can too, right? And what I'm going to focus on in this session and in this presentation is helping you guys understand the mindset, right? And the thinking that goes behind actually raising your prices, positioning yourself as an expert, navigating the sales process, and actually closing more deals. So by the end of this, you're gonna understand everything in regards to the mentality that you actually have to raise your prices, okay? And I'll give you some very practical tips as well, so that like when you leave this, not only are you gonna get this presentation and some extra stuff that we'll go over soon, but you'll have everything that you need to get started on your journey, okay? That is my promise to you. And at the end of this, if you don't feel like we delivered on this value prop, we didn't deliver on this mission, let us know. Let us know and we'll address it in the Q&A. If you feel like there are any questions that are particular to your situation or what you're doing that aren't answered here, let us know, because we do not want you guys to leave without value in your pocket. All right? If you're liking that, let me see some action in the chat. All right, let's keep it going, baby. So if you stay to the end, I'm gonna give y'all some goodies. Like Sierra said, I don't know if y'all like Sierra from back in the day, the goodies. I'm gonna give you the goodies, the free resources, the major keys. Because I know that time is money. Time is of the essence. Right now, it's quarantine. You probably was in front of your screen all day anyway, working hard, working on your business, working on your job. I respect that and I appreciate that and I salute that. And so I want to make sure that regardless of what happens today, you're going to get a follow-up email from me this week that's going to give you all of the resources that I have personally used to get to this point. So that's going to be books, that's going to be website, that's going to be software, that's going to be programs, everything, right? So if you guys want to go after this presentation and start working on your agency, start working on your business, I'm going to give you the stuff that I spent the last 5 years really slaving over that has been creating real results in my business. And then on top of that, for the 15 of you, thank you, my guy Basita with the clap emoji. Let me see those emojis going off. I'm digging that. But on top of that, you guys are also going to get entered into a free consultation. And so that means that we can talk about anything you want to talk about one-on-one, go deep and brainstorm with your business, where I'll give you
I'm gonna call you back. We got a skills building series going on.
And what was that, O'Shea?
Skills building. Oh, sorry about that.
Oh, no worries, man. No worries. Virtual props, man. Work from home realities. But yeah, if you guys stay on, you'll get the free resources and an email follow-up. You'll get the recordings, you'll get the slides, and you'll be entered for a free consultation. So if that sounds good to you, please don't leave this webinar because I want you to enjoy this. Can you please do that? Okay, I'm seeing some more emoji action. Cool. All right, so let's talk some business. What makes this actually different? Because before you guys like, oh, I'm about to stay on for an hour and listen to this guy talk. Who is this guy? I don't know this guy. Why should I even listen to him? Why should I even be on this training right now? Well, those are very good questions, and I'm going to help you answer them. So number one is I've actually built real businesses outside of consulting. That's been something that I've been blessed with. So I started my own e-commerce company several years ago. And I've hacked on a bunch of different side hustles and projects and generated actually $250K in revenue, really off of all organic marketing, selling real products and services on the internet. So beyond just doing this consulting stuff, like we've actually built real businesses and sold real stuff. I've built viral blogs. I've gotten over 8 million views on my viral content that I've published. I had a very popular streetwear blog. And tons of other really good stuff, okay? So this is founded in real experience, blood, sweat, and tears as an entrepreneur, really getting my hands dirty and failing, and trying to figure out what actually works. Number two is when I first started on this journey, I actually just realized that, you know, my first website that I ever did, I charged $200 for, and I was a college student, and it was a project that a friend of mine, he threw parties, and he was starting some other side hustles, you know, just young and trying to hustle. And I started my first website for $200. And I was just reflecting on that experience today. I was literally in the library on my college campus, and I was sleeping in the library for multiple days. I was literally just there. I'd go eat, and then I'd just come back and just keep hacking and try to figure out all this basic HTML and CSS stuff. I spent well over like 50 to 100 hours working on this stuff, and I only got $200 for that. And through that journey, I actually just closed my biggest deal ever yesterday. So that is like a huge milestone for me, using all of this same stuff that I'm about to give you guys today. And that deal is worth 30 grand, right? That's 30 grand for a couple of months of work, 9K up front, 7K retainer. Right? From 200 to 30 grand on a project. And I was looking back on where I was when I was charging 200, and I'm kidding you not, you know, I could have still charged 200 for the website I just sold for 30 grand today, you know, but the mentality changed, the understanding changed, the experience changed. And so I was able to adapt. And right now, as we speak, I'm generating 5-figure leads through organic pull marketing on social. That 30 grand project, that's actually just the most recent development. Recently, I think total value of that project so far this year, that'll be about 40 because we made about 10K because I designed their website, then their app, and now I'm doing their brand design and also their marketing on retainer. And that's 40 grand cash revenue. How did I get that? I posted on Instagram. I'm literally not joking, guys. The person who referred this lead to me was watching my Instagram stories of me recording on my phone, just showing, hey, this is the project that I'm working on. Having fun, guys. Check it out, right? I did that. He responded to my Instagram story in my DMs. He's like, hey, I have a client for you. Set up a call, boom. 10 grand, boom. Now 30 grand. Why? Adding value. $0 in ad spend. I have not even started really accelerating my ad spend. I've been building out funnels. I have the strategy mapped out, but I've just been getting leads consistently from attraction, from putting out content, putting out value, using my personal Facebook, my personal Instagram, my personal LinkedIn, nothing fancy, no juju magic sauce, and that's bringing in 5 figures worth of revenue. Okay. And you have access to the exact same tools I have access to. We're using the same Facebook. I work at Facebook, but we're using the same Facebook. Okay. And so I'm going to show you guys how I actually did that. And in my career so far, over the last, I'm calling it 7 years, I've worked with startups literally who have zero marketing budget. They don't even have a product. I have to come in and help them build the product from scratch. And I've worked with large corporations. right? So being able to see what's happening on both sides of the spectrum is critical. It's critical. And a lot of people don't have that experience. Like you have your mom and pop shops, your local businesses, your SMBs that you're working with, but you may not have had the experience of working with Facebook and Google and all these big companies like on their actual marketing campaigns and seeing people who are investing millions of dollars. Like the project that I just got off a meeting for Beyond This has $1 million budget attached to it today. Right? And so I'm on the ground floor mapping out the strategies, figuring out how do we actually do that. Okay. And so I'm going to be giving you guys the sauce to understand how are things happening at the micro, how are things happening at the macro. All right. And I've also been responsible for budget decisions where I'm cutting 6-figure checks. I'm the one who has to sit down with an agency who's coming to me with a 6-figure bill to build a website, to make a video, right? And I'm the one who has to look at it, evaluate it, and help make a decision on whether or not we go with these people. I'm seeing all their documentation. I'm sitting in all their pitch meetings. I'm taking notes the entire time on how they're doing their business. Because not only do I have to like allocate the budget wisely and create best-in-class creative, but I also have to make sure that like I'm picking up game so that my own agency that I'm working on the side can get to that next level. Okay. So this is going to be major, guys. Like we're giving you guys what's happening on both sides of the spectrum, which I haven't seen in any other programs. And I love studying internet marketing and coaching programs. I love investing into myself. And these guys, they don't have that type of experience. So I'm giving you guys what's happening in the latest internet marketing trends, what's happening when you're working with small companies, and what's happening when you're working with people who are talking them big boy bands. All right. And I've personally, to myself, put thousands of my own money into training and coaching to learn growth, to learn sales, to learn branding strategies. I've put up the capital to invest into my own education beyond college voluntarily because I love learning. I just love consuming information. I feel like when you're learning, you kind of have this epiphany moment where you're like, oh my gosh, right? And so I'm always chasing new level ups. I'm always chasing new opportunities. So I'm going to be literally pulling from all of the studying that I've been doing for I don't know how many years and giving you guys that in a 1-hour presentation. So if you guys like stay for this, like I'm really trying to give you the best that I can give you. And like I said, if you don't feel like you got the best, let's stay on the Q&A and put me to the test. Put me to the test and let me make sure you get the value that you want. Because today is about you. Today is to make sure that you have what you need to grow your agency and to understand what makes the difference between charging $200 and charging 30 grand. And I'll just tell you, this is going to be a consistent theme in the presentation. You will be surprised. It's not as different as you may think, right? So who am I? Like, what's my track record? Why am I able to actually like talk about this? Well, in my own personal agency, in my own life as a digital entrepreneur and a creator, I've been able to create content, create brands, create side hustles, and that's allowed me to get featured over 40 times in the press, including in 2014, I was named the most influential person in streetwear by Today's Hype magazine. You can still find that article today. In 2017, again, after taking a break from content creation and fashion blogging, I was named one of the top 5 collegiate style icons by Blavity magazine. So they're behind the Afrotech conference. That was, again, this is all pull. This is all attraction. I'm putting out content, I'm putting out value, and I'm making sure that it gets recognized, okay? And my job in corporate, I've been responsible for actually leading market research, informing product development, figuring out how do we actually build great products? How do we figure out what people actually want? How do we make those types of strategic decisions? And then actually figuring out how do we launch these products? And I've launched over, probably like 15 products like at Facebook, which is my current full-time job. I've launched over 15 products, the largest of which has gone out to over 800 million people. And so we're launching things that actually have scale, right? So when you're launching those things, you need to be thinking about risk mitigations. You need to be thinking about the positioning. You need to think about how things are landing. You need to be thinking about like, how is this going to be received by the press? So that has a lot of complexities that you may not get when you're just working at that in the trenches on the SMB side, okay? I've personally also launched over 25 products, right? So that includes like Facebook as well as products that I've launched like on my own as part of my own business and my e-commerce business and in my coaching business and all this kind of stuff, right? I've completed over 40 projects in my own agency as a consultant today. And I ran over 25 different marketing campaigns, right? So I've had experience working in the trenches, figuring out how do we understand what is it that gets people excited? What is it that moves people? What is it that people want? Right? How do we translate that into an offer, into a service, into a product effectively? How do we execute against that so that we're building best in class stuff? Right? And then how do we actually now market and scale those products? And so in my time as a digital entrepreneur and stuff, I've gotten a chance to work across the entire product and marketing lifecycle. And that's why I love being a product marketing manager, because I don't just work on product development. I don't just work on marketing. I don't just work on research. I don't just work on creative and content. I get to be the key that connects everybody throughout this entire process, all right? And so in my corporate career, I've gotten a chance to work with Facebook, Google Leadership Development Program. Red Bull was one of my clients on a photography and content creation side. I currently support the Facebook Messenger brand. I've launched product marketing campaigns at Morgan Stanley to financial advisors, figuring out how do we frame these complex financial products. I've also worked with L'Oreal in product management, where I led a team of three people, where we actually came up with a whole new product line and a whole new marketing campaign, a full funnel strategy to actually launch this product successfully in the market. And we were selected to be the number one team in the USA, number one product development and marketing team in the US, and top 40 out of 25,000 people who entered this competition that we worked on with L'Oreal. And we were a top 40 in the world. Right. And so that was a huge honor. I've worked as a consultant at Accenture. I did photography for Yelp, and I've also worked as a consultant at Carney. Okay. And in terms of actual things that I've shipped, right? Like, so we're not just giving you guys logos, we're talking about real impact. Currently with the Messenger Kids brand, I oversee the design and the management of the entire website, and that's reaching 3 million people every month. Right. In the campaigns that I've actually worked on at Facebook, my social media strategies, the content that I've created, that I led the strategy behind, has increased reach by over 200% over a 6-month period, increased engagement over 135%. And the content that I have led was actually some of the best performing content in the entire 6-month. We measure things in halves. So the entire half out of 6 months, the content that I led for the team was the best performing content. Despite only having a fraction of like the reach and the amplification, our content was the best. And then we also created like a whole new system of content styles and types that you can actually leverage. With one of my clients, Encore Trust, which is an estate planning company, I helped them design a website that increased their conversions by 28%. And another client, Care Education, I helped to design a website and an online platform that increased their monthly sales by 3x, 300% every month. That's more money coming in your bank account. And so I've been super blessed and fortunate to have these experiences. And so I want you guys to feel confident in this information that you're getting today, to know that this is actually valuable and it's grounded in truth. Okay? All right. So I've done a lot of things right. I've done a lot of things wrong. Right. And so I'm going to be pulling from all of that to give you guys what you guys actually need. All right. So what are you actually going to get? Right. So like after doing this for the last 5 years, I'm going to give you the keys to understand and master the sales and positioning process. Everything from positioning yourself as an expert to actually closing the deal. We're going to talk about attracting your ideal client. So a lot of pull marketing strategies. We're not going to talk about push. We're going to talk about pull. We're going to talk about why raising your prices is not, it's an art and a science, right? Depending on the product, but in a service business and an agency business, it's really more about mindset over matter. Number 3, we're going to be talking about how to actually navigate the sales process. I'm going to tell you guys exactly what I do on that 30K deal. I'm going to tell you the exact process, right, that I just went through, and how do you actually present your offer. And then we'll also talk about how do you close and handle objections. And I know a lot of you guys are going to like this. So if you've ever had any challenges with closing, put that in the chat. Let's get the chat popping. If you've ever had challenges where you're like, hey, this is going to be X amount, and the client is like, that's too much money, or I got to do this, or right? Like, and you kind of like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. They just do you just give up when they tell you they can't afford it? Do you just be like, okay, well, I'm just going to go? No, that's not what you do. We're going to give you guys some real life things that you can say. So by the end of this, you'll have real responses that you can give to your clients when you tell them, I'm raising my prices and it's too much money, and they say it's too much money, we'll give you real things you can say to justify your value. Okay. And then we'll also talk about how do you execute your projects on autopilot. So as soon as the bag come in, boom, you got to get it going. And we're going to talk about why that's important. Okay. So I got one question for you guys. Are you ready? Come on, let's get these emojis going. Let's get the emoji reactions, everything. Nakara, Taylor, Basiru, Becky, OB, everybody, let's get it going. We're really trying to give the best value possible, okay? So I discovered this the hard way, right? And I'll tell you this, right? Like before we actually like get into it, like I always like, I'm getting you guys excited because I want you to be engaged. I want you to get the most out of this, but I have to really ground this fact. Like these results aren't typical. I'm not saying that I'm going to give you the silver bullet that'll change everything, but I'm going to give you all the understanding that you need to get started. And you will have to do work. Like it's just no way around it, but now you'll know how to navigate that process. Okay. So this does require that you put in some work, right? In the long run, if you want to win. It's going to require that you change your mindset, and mindset is going to be a big thing that we talk about today. Like a lot of people, I always find if you're not like, going crazy for professional development or personal development, as soon as somebody starts talking about The Secret or law of attraction or mindset, everybody starts shutting down like, oh, no, that's mushy, or oh, no, that's not real, or oh, no. Guys, mindset is the delta. If you want to remember anything, if you want to leave this presentation right now because you're tired of my annoying voice, just remember that mindset is the delta that changes everything. So you will have to shift your mindset today. And that's what I want to focus you guys on, shifting your mindset and understanding. And I'm going to tell you guys a lot of stories from my life and on my journey that's going to help you get there. Okay? It's not instant gratification. It's not Amazon Prime. No. I'm gonna give you the tips. I'm gonna give you the best value that I can give you, but I'm not saying, this is gonna solve everything. You got to put in the work. You got to position. You have to practice your sales and positioning. You may have to practice in the mirror. You may have to record yourself. That's okay. You got to be willing to get down and dirty sometimes. And I'm super blessed and fortunate, and I want to like always put that out there. Like I'm so grateful to be in this position that you guys are trusting me to walk you through my journey. And so I always like to put that out there as well, right? Like we are blessed. We are all blessed, and we're all alive. So everybody's blessed. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So let's actually now start getting into the 3 secrets. The reason you guys came here, the main affair, the entree, the meal. Okay. Let's get into the secrets. If you're ready for the secrets, let me see some fire emojis in the chat, please. Okay, so first things first. If you want to actually attract your ideal clients, you're going to have to do a couple of things. You're going to have to, one, identify who they are. You're going to have to position yourself as an expert and show your worth and consistently add value, right? And so we just got that repeated here, right? Like first, we're going to go like in each of these, like one-on-one, like how do you identify them? How do you position yourself as an expert? How do you show your worth? How do you consistently add value? I'm going to bring you in on each step along the journey, but like everything starts with this, attraction, okay? So let's start with how do you actually identify your client? So the first thing is you have to start by identifying who are you in the best position to serve, okay? That's the question that you need to ask yourself. Like, what is it about the journey that you've been on, your experience as a designer, that puts you in a position to add value, okay? And then you need to think about like, all right, I can help people. Like, for example, I started an online fashion company and grew it using different marketing strategies. So I understand web development, e-commerce, and marketing, influencer marketing, and everything that goes along with that, and the design process as well. So I'm like, I am actually like very equipped to help small businesses and entrepreneurs who are just starting out, who have a great idea, but who don't necessarily know how to execute it, because I've built out my own ideas. I've had ideas that have failed. I have lost a lot of money. And I've gone through this like the hard way, right? And so I'm very equipped to help entrepreneurs who have an idea, they have big dreams, they have a big vision, right? They have some budget because maybe they're working at a high profile job, or they've just been diligent about saving, or they just understand the importance of investing into their business, right? But they don't know how to cross the bridge. They don't know how to get to this result point. Like, they know they can, they know they need to, they know they need the car to get there, but where are we getting, how do we actually get there? I'm the guy who's going to come and help them build the car to help them get there. So that's my niche, right? Pre-launch stage startups who are ready to invest, who are ready to grow, right? I'm equipped to help them. So I want you guys to think about, like, what results can you actually create for people, okay? If you're a graphic designer, like, okay, like, who are you equipped to help? Like, are you equipped to help like a specific type of local business? Like, you want to actually like get super, super, super specific. The more specific that you can get, the better, because you just think about your own journey. Like, if you're actually like looking for somebody to help you with a problem, you want to go to the person who you know can help you. Like, if you have like, I don't know, okay, heart problems, right? If you're having heart problems, are you going to go to your pediatrician to like actually like help you with like your heart surgery? Or are you going to go to a cardiologist, right? You want to go to a cardiologist. And like, to actually take that step further, what kind of cardiologist do you want to go to? You want to go to the best one. You want to go to the cardiologist with the most proof of work in their specific niche, right? So like what we have here, and I'm pulling this from a course and a book that I'll share called Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson, one of the most transformational books I've ever read in terms of internet marketing. He's talking about online courses, but the same philosophies apply to consulting. You need to identify what your market is, right? Like, he talks about health, wealth, relationships when it comes to information, but you need to say, okay, are you going after fashion companies? Are you going after solar companies? Are you going after real estate development companies? Are you going after real estate investment firms? Are you going after like tech companies? Are you okay? And then once you find like that general market level, then the question is, you need to go one level deeper. Oh, once you start out, I'm like, okay, well, I can probably help property management companies who are working with like apartment buildings. Cool. That's great. You're already on the right track. Go a level deeper now. What stage property management company? Okay, I want to help companies that probably have like less than 200 tenants in them, because they usually have around like an extra $2,000 in budget to invest in marketing and in social media. And I think that I can really help them get the result that they want, because I'm a great graphic designer. I create great assets. I create great visuals. I understand visual communication. And they need social media posts so they can get people coming into their funnel, right? And so I'm going to actually help, property management companies with less than 200 tenants get people through the door. Okay. Or you can kind of like take that a whole different level and be like, I'm going to help those companies. I'm going to help them specifically with lead gen. Or I'm going to help them specifically with branding, right? Not even getting into social media management. Or I'm going to do organic social media management only. Or I'm going to do paid advertising for this company. So you're already seeing now how you can get so many different permutations of what you can actually provide to your people, right? Based off of the niche. But the key is, nobody wants a generalist. You don't want just any type of lawyer on your case. You want the lawyer who's going to be like specifically equipped for your type of solution, right? That's what you want to focus on. Okay. So secret number one, in terms of attracting your ideal clients, be specific about who you can actually serve. Identify your niche. And once you think you have a niche, challenge yourself to go a level deeper in how you define that. And then challenge yourself to get very crisp on what is the specific result you can give to this niche and to people in this niche. Okay. That's secret number one, part one. Right? So the next thing is like, all right, I got my niche. I know who I want to help. What do I do next? Well, you got to be an expert, because like I alluded to on the last slide, like nobody wants to work with a generalist. You want to work with somebody who's going to help you scratch your very specific itch. Okay. So be as specific as possible. And one thing that I'll say before we even get into the content is like, a lot of people are always scared. I find this with my clients too, when I'm like, who's your target audience? They're like, everybody. I'm like, yeah. No, I get that. Mass market, that's the future point. Like, yeah, totally. But like, they're scared. They're like, I don't want to leave anybody out. I don't want to leave money on the table. One thing you guys have to understand about the new economy and digital, right, is like we have something that's called the long tail, which means that like something that seems very small on the surface, right, like is actually like now, thanks to the internet, millions and millions and millions of people who all have this very specific interest. You can now connect with them at the touch of a button. Okay. So don't ever be scared to think like your market size is too small or you're getting too specific. Like the riches are in the niches. That's what they say. Right. So like really, really challenge yourself to go deep. There's no shortage of opportunity. And there's actually tons of ways you can opportunity size, like using Google Trends or using Facebook Audience Insights. And you can see that like, oh, there's like hundreds of thousands of people who are searching for this specific term or who are liking this specific content, right? Like get specific though, right? Like this, like Allura is like a great example of that because it's online learning for freelancers and creatives and early stage entrepreneurs, right? Who are trying to get to that inflection point, right? So now they know like, okay, they're going to be focused on like wealth and growth. And then they're not going to just be focused on wealth and growth. They're going to be focused on like online education, right? Which is a pivot for COVID because they did like events and like other stuff and co-working spaces too. But like now they're going really deep on like freelancers and they organized the freelancers conference and they're doubling down on value for this specific market. So this is a great example of how you can do that. And let me just get my lights going. So we get some good angles. I'm giving you guys some colorful vibes. If you're digging it, let me see some fire emojis. All right, so positioning yourself as an expert. Let's go. Number one, this is one of the biggest things that I see a lot of young creatives do or people early stage is they don't have case studies and they don't have really in-depth things that are showing your process. So a lot of people, a lot of creatives, if you go to their portfolio, and we actually just hired someone who did this too. So these mistakes are even happening at like the higher level, as they'll literally just post pictures on their website. Like they'll just have a website with a bunch of like flyers on it and just be like, yeah, I made it in 2017 and that's it. That's not valuable because it devalues the entire creative process. Like what you guys are doing as creatives, as people who add value, like it's very impactful. And a lot of non-creatives, sometimes they devalue that or they don't understand it. Or they're like, oh, like, don't you just make stuff pretty? Like, no. You have a process that you go through and you solve problems for people. So you need to create case studies that are detailing your entire process in detail. You got to get into the nitty gritty. Right. And so that means identifying what's the context. That means identifying like what are the goals of the project. That means going through like what was the brainstorming process that you worked through with the client. What were the key design decisions that you actually made? And then what was the result? Don't just give me the result. Show me all the good stuff that actually got you there. Because people need to see your process so that they can trust you. Because especially if we're talking about raising your prices and adding more value, everything comes down to process. Okay. And that's going to be a theme that we hear. I'm going to hammer this home a lot. So I'm being redundant by design because these concepts are actually very pivotal to understand. Okay. And the key is like, if you can't articulate what you're actually doing and why you're doing it and how you're doing it, you're going to struggle and you're going to fall to the bottom of the pile with all the other low ticket offers who people just go to Upwork and they're just like, no, just put this together. Right? Like, and you just have a technical skill, but you want to position yourself as a creative problem solver. Okay. And so the framework to do that, and we'll send this out as well, is you need to provide context. You need to describe what the goals are. You need to explain your process. You need to explain those key design decisions and then show the deliverables. And so what does that actually look like in practice? And like, how do you actually like take a project that you worked on and turn into that? Like, I love writing case studies on my projects because I love hacking on stuff. And so I'm going to actually just show you guys super quick a case study that I put together on a photography studio that I built while I was in college and grew it from zero, from being unknown as a photographer in a completely new market where no one knew the value that I could provide, to actually growing it to 3K in monthly revenue, right, on a consistent basis. Okay. So this is something that I posted on LinkedIn, right? And then right off the bat, you see what the headline is. You see, okay, 0 to 3K in monthly revenue. What was my role? I was responsible for the brand, the design, the development, the photography, and the marketing. So right off the bat, potential clients are already clear on the value. Number two, I get into the challenge. I'm providing context on like, where were we when this all started? Because everything in your business and when it comes to consulting and services, it's all about the story, right? So I start with really laying the foundation of the story of being someone with a challenge. I had a valuable skill. I knew that I was a great photographer, but nobody in this new market actually knew the value that I could provide, right? And so I'm explaining why this was a challenge and why this was meaningful, right? And then I get into what is the need, right? I developed a multi-phase plan that took 1 year, right? That included building brand awareness and gaining credibility, creating a seamless user experience to capture the most value possible. And then I launched a grassroots marketing campaigns, right? We got Keynote, who's in the room. Shout out to Keynote. right? And then I get into what are the results, because a lot of people, they're not even going to read to the end. So I give them the gratification up front of like, this is what we actually achieved: 10% of leads, 100% satisfaction, 3x sales, boom, boom, boom. And now we go into the actual solution, and I'm detailing everything in the solution. Why was it actually important that I created like a standalone photography brand for this community? Well, it had a very unique opportunity in it, that everybody was super fashionable and best dressed in the nation. And then instead of figuring out like, how do I get people to like love me as a photographer, I started on focusing on them and how I can add value to them, right? So I carried around my camera and I took pictures for everybody all day, and I gave some people something for free just because I wanted to add value. And in doing that, I set off a reciprocity loop, right? I get to do what I love, I get to help people, and now people actually know me for the value that I give, right? And I go into every single thing, and I make sure I do emotional storytelling so that people can actually get the value. Like, you want to talk about how things made you feel. What was the emotion behind the decision, right? And then I get into like, all right, like giving you all the context. How did the social media page actually grow? What was the impressions and the reach? What opportunities came from this? What were like the thinkings behind like the specific strategies and like the people we chose to work with? And then how do we actually build out the entire user experience, right? So like, one thing I did to differentiate myself was built an entire funnel and website for specific for this specific project to get more clients on autopilot. And then I map out everything that I identified as a problem statement. You'll see it here. You get a problem and you get a solution. So you're mapping problems to solutions. So now you see, oh, problem, oh, no, but I got the solution here, right? And then we get into the marketing campaign, and I detail every channel, the thinking of the marketing campaign. I show you the assets, and I explain every single decision along the process, right? And then I talk about how I maximize distribution, right? And then I finish with a conclusion and lessons learned along the process, because it wasn't always straightforward. So I got some new realizations. And so I just walked you through a whole process. I could have just put up pictures of my portfolio as a photographer and just called it a day and just be like, hey, I built a photography brand. But no, I walked you through the thinking, because the thinking is the delta. That's what makes things actually valuable. Okay. So that's an example of a case study, and I can send out some of those in the recap email as well. But that's what detailing your process is actually about. Okay. So now let's get into the next part of things, which is like, all right, well, you identified your client, you showed your worth. Like, how do you actually, you identify your clients and like you establish yourself an expert. How do you actually show your worth? A big thing is come down to like quantifying your impact, right? Like in any case, you want to think about, how can I add numbers to this to make this more concrete and more tangible? And as creatives, sometimes we like to shy away from numbers and stuff like that, but we shouldn't shy away from that, because our work is quantifiable. Our value is quantifiable. You can talk about the number of projects, number of clients, number of positive reviews. If you don't have numbers, put in testimonials. Talk about people you reached via your work, and like, try to show people something tangible that says like, I don't just make things pretty. And like, you should poke at that assumption, like in these initial meetings, like, yeah, you could go to someone else and just get something pretty, but you're going to come to me because you want the thinking behind solving the problem, which is proved by the case study. And a perfect example of that happened in this presentation, which is the exact same slide I use in every client meeting. It has all the numbers, it has all the clients, and it shows impact very quantifiably. So you want to always be showing your worth wherever you can and establish that. That's very much key, because when you show people what you can do and what you have achieved, they're going to be more attracted to your offering, okay? And then the next thing is you need to consistently add value. This is key. Content is king. Content is currency. Content is the currency of the new economy, right? Because attention is what everything's about. If you can get someone's attention, if you can capture them, that's the key, right? And when you're pushing out content, like focus on quantity in the beginning over quality. That is a strategy I got from Gary Vee. And I believe in that, because what's most important is distribution. A lot of people will actually get hung up on their engagement numbers. They get hung up on not getting a lot of likes on a post or not a lot of comments on a post. But when in reality, what's most important is actually not really the likes and comments. Like, that's good for the algorithm and ranking. But what's most important in my point of view is actually reinforcing your value to your audience. That's key. Reinforcing your value is the key. Like views are more important. Every time you can get in front of someone and tell them what you believe in, what you stand for, what you've done, that is everything. So don't worry if you're not getting likes. That same post, that same project I posted on Instagram that's resulted in an additional 40K of revenue so far in Q2 and Q3, literally got 20 likes on the post. Like I've built viral campaigns for my own personal brand and for other people, and I'm getting 20 likes and I'm pouring my all into this content. I'm like, yo, what is going on? I'm trying right now and nobody's like liking my stuff. Like, does that mean I suck? But then I'm literally generating 5 figures of revenue off of the same posts that aren't getting any likes. And so when I think about that, I'm always remembering that I'm like, likes are not important. Show your worth. That's what's important. Because a lot of people, what they do is they like ghosting on social media. Like we're like so trained like with social media, like we don't always want to give content, especially on LinkedIn, because you're resharing it to your network, which now has like implications around perception and status. So people are sometimes stingy with their likes. Like that's the new generation. That's one of the downsides, right? But they're seeing it though, right? And sometimes Instagram is only going to distribute your stuff to 10% of your audience, right? And so that should put you already in the mindset like, yo, like only 10% of my tribe may see this. So if you're like posting stuff, like don't be afraid to be redundant, quote unquote. Don't be afraid to recycle content. Like I see one of my creator friends, Morgan, an incredible creator in the fitness space, health and wellness, holistic wellness space. She reuses her content from like a couple years ago. Amazing photography because she's just sitting on an archive and she has new people joining her community every day who haven't seen that content yet, who haven't gotten that value yet. And so she can resurface that value. So don't be afraid to recycle and reposition content. Like if you like Gary Vee or you like Grant Cardone, you like any of these big influencers and stuff, you'll actually notice that if you watch like 1 or 2 of their videos, you get the message. Like if you follow me, like I kind of say the same thing in every post, you know, but because I have one core message and everything is about reinforcing. Like one of my friends who was actually going to join this, Charles, he was asking like, how much tweeting is too much, right? How much should I be posting? Everything. All of it, put it all out, be scrappy, just get value out there, add value, show your worth, show your process, okay? And so you wanna start thinking about like, all right, well, now I know I have to I need to create a lot of content. How do I do that? What type of content do I wanna create? Well, here are some ideas, very tangible stuff that you can implement into your content strategy today. So if you wanna take notes on this, please feel free. Great thing to do is share industry news. Very simple. People kind of already know this, but if you actually see on LinkedIn, some of the best performing posts, and this is from an actual LinkedIn training from the company, are actually just not about you, but they're about industry news. Because of the nature of the LinkedIn platform, people want to appear as high status. People want to appear as forerunners and forward thinkers in their industry. And so they are sharing happenings so that they can be the messenger that brought you the keys. Right? Like they don't want to be the messenger that got shot. They want to be the messenger that got praised. And so people find interesting things and they share it. Number 2, what are the latest trends? I love trend analysis. That's one of the things that's allowed me to like build the different e-commerce businesses and stuff like that. Like just watching where the culture is going. And as creatives, we have that superpower of just creative intuition. That sixth sense that only creatives can understand. Share your trends, share your analysis. Number 2, what articles are you reading? Hey guys, this is one of my favorite articles. These are my key takeaways from the articles. Check it out and let me know what you think. Boom, you just got a new post out. And now you can send this to your clients. You can send this to people who fell out of your funnel. You can send this to people who you presented an offer to, but who didn't close. And you're adding more value. You're making them smarter. You're making them better. You're making them more high status, right? Boom, very major idea there. Share things that inspire you, things that move you, things that make you feel something, and talk about what did make you felt, like what did make you actually feel. Like that's so key. Like a lot of people, like they miss out on like the emotive side of things. Like, cause like we like to be like don't forget that as a creative, like everything is about emotion. You want to connect with people's heart. So give them that, right? Like share what actually inspired you. Share your creative process. I love like a lot of UX and UI designers, they'll always post like their sketches that they're drawing out on paper. You just take a picture and you show people, you know, what are you actually doing? How do you create all this beautiful UI? I've had so many times when I'm walking through like user flows or user diagrams and all this kind of stuff, and clients are like shocked because they've never designed an app before and they don't know the level of thinking that goes into like deciding where does this button go? Like that's kind of like the beauty of creativity. The more simple it is, the harder it was to actually get there, right? So share your process and help people know that. Share your lessons learned, share your mistakes. That's a great way to be very open, authentic, and vulnerable, which is something that everybody wants nowadays. Right now in social media, we're living in like the Instagram era. And so that means that everybody's trying to show a highlight reel of their life that is very perfect, that is very pristine, right? And that's cool, right? Social media is always kind of in highlight reel, but I like to like kind of bring people in and like kind of like share some of my L's. I like to share some of the things that I've learned. I like to share my mistakes because that helps people connect with you as a person. It helps build trust, right? And that's what people want more than anything, especially in this work from home world. They want connection. Okay. They want authenticity, and being vulnerable is a great way to do that. So these are all content ideas that you guys can start with today. And you can definitely take those same case studies that you just wrote. Like that's like a 7-page case study. I can now take each paragraph of that and repurpose it as a different piece of content. That's something that Gary Vee did. If you go to like his website, you'll maybe see a case study where he took one keynote speech and he turned it into, that had like maybe 1,000 people there or something. And he turned it into like 32 million views and engagement across social media. The same one piece of content, because he sliced and diced it in so many different ways. And that's how you guys can level up in content and increase your volume quickly. And then that also helps you like now gain traction and audience because you're putting out more. The algorithm likes you more. Like these companies, Facebook and Google, they're in the business, for better or for worse, we can talk about the ethics later, of keeping people on the platforms and keeping them happy and getting them to what they want. So they want people who are adding value to their ecosystem. So if I'm posting every single day different things, I am now going to be ranked more favorably, right? So first off, like you kind of get around this 10% thing by just consistently adding more value. And even if in your head it may feel like it's redundant, it's super valuable. Okay, so that is secret number one. How do you attract your ideal clients? I know I'm going super fast. I'm giving a lot of value. So if you guys have questions, definitely write those down. We can go deep on your situations in the Q&A session. All right, but yeah, add that value, baby. Okay, number two. What if I told you that the same project you're charging $500 for, somebody else is charging $500,000 for? And when I put these numbers on there, I know a lot of y'all are probably thinking, I don't know, I'm not buying it. This guy, I don't know. There's some snake oil involved here. Who knows? But I'm going to tell you a real story. I already told you the $200 story. That's what I was charging for my websites. One of the projects that I was responsible for, that Messenger Kids website that we built out, when I got appointed to lead that website management design, and I saw all the past contracts and stuff, I was shocked because I thought that to get to these 5 and 6 figure numbers, you needed some sort of magic power. There had to be some greater degree of complexity. I remember being at a conference in 2018, and I'm trying to actually figure out how to get to that level. And my friend asked me what's the difference between that and a $60,000 website? I'm like, well, it probably has to be super designed and this, that, and the third. But you will literally be surprised. That same website for Messenger Kids cost $300,000. Literally. And it's built in WordPress. It's just a WordPress site, y'all. And it doesn't do anything fancy. It just has a couple videos, a couple pictures, and a couple articles. The articles aren't even hosted on the website. If you guys know about website design, it links you out to another place to go see the articles. And that's it. That's it, bro. And they charge $300,000 for that because of the clients that they're attracting. That's why attraction is key. You want to attract specific types of people into your business, right? And you want to repel certain types of people away from your business, right? And so really this pricing stuff, it's mind over matter. There's another situation. I'm working with a nonprofit right now. They're building the largest female talent network in Africa for professional development. And I'm about to actually build out their whole website and online platform and stuff like that. And they came to me and they told me yeah, the agency that we talked to right before you, they actually quoted us $75,000 for their website. $75,000. And when they told me that, they were laughing. They were like, oh my God, oh, they couldn't believe it. But me knowing what I know, I didn't flinch. I was like, okay, good. I'm getting more confirmation. I know what's possible now. People are putting out offers for $75,000. And there are people who have 75,000 who are willing to invest in their business. I know you may not know somebody with 75,000 right now to put in their website, but there are businesses and people who value that so much who are willing to invest that type of money. I'm quoting them 7,500. I thought they said 7,500. I'm like, when they said that, I was like, guys, to be frank, like 7,500 is a very real range that we could get to with this project due to the level of complexity and the time constraints. And they're like, no, Malik, 75,000. I said, wow, I want to meet that agency. I need to know which clients they're talking to and how I can get on their list. They should hire me as a white labeler. You know, you just give it to me and give me 20,000, baby. I'll make it happen for you. No problem. You know, but this type of stuff is real. So it's mind over matter. So what do you actually need? This is what we're going to talk about in secret number 2. You need to change your own mindset first. And this is something that's going to be very hard, but you need to change your own mindset. You need to understand abundance. And this is one of the most transformational concepts I've learned in the last few years. And I know Morgan, she's very big on this as well. And you need to know your worth and feel comfortable and confident in demanding that. And then number 4, you need to understand people are going to pay whatever you tell them to pay. If you tell them it's worth $100, they'll believe it. If you tell them it's worth 75,000 and you give a good argument and it's worth 75K for their business because they're trying to make an extra million from this website and they just need something to get stood up, they'll invest the 75K if they're going to get $1 million. If I told you if you gave me 75K and every time you gave me 75K, I'd give you back $1 million, would you give it to me? Of course you would, right? So you need to figure out how do you attract those types of people, okay? So now let's talk about each of these bullets. If you're digging the content, give me some engagement in the chat. I want to make sure you guys are engaged and you guys are loving it, all right? Let's go. So 1, change your own mindset. This is key. This is key, and this is something I've learned recently. If you're cheap, you're going to attract cheap clients. I'm sorry. Hey, OB, thank you, OB. Woo, let's keep the engagement going. If you're cheap, you will attract cheap clients. I'm sorry, I can't break it to you any other way, right? If you take shortcuts and cut corners, so will your clients, right? Like you receive what you give, right? Like whatever energy you give out, that's the energy that's going to come back to you guys. So like 1 is like, you need to actually change how you treat yourself in your own business. Okay. If you treat people well, if you don't treat people well, your clients won't treat you well, right? If you're somebody who always likes to increase the scope of things, if you can't get things down to paper, that's the type of people you're going to bring around. If you don't invest into your business, if you're not willing to pay for courses, if you're not willing to pay for coaching, if you're not willing to go through training programs, if you're not willing to humble yourself and be like, maybe there's something I don't understand that somebody else can explain to me, and you're not willing to take that risk, people won't be willing to do that for you. If you don't believe in yourself and your worth and your work, neither will your clients, because they can sense that. They can sense if you believe in yourself or not. When you tell them it's going to be $10,000, they hear when you say $10,000. You know, they hear you, but when you say $10,000 and silence, and you sit in silence until you let them be the one to engage, they feel a different type of energy and they will move accordingly, right? So guys, like be mindful of the energy that you're putting out, okay? So it starts with you. I got to a point where I'm like, I'm charging $5,000 for a website to start. And then I got to a point where I wanted to actually buy a coaching program to help me like figure out how to level up, how to build out new marketing strategies, how to get more leads to the door. And I got to a point where I was scared. I was scared to invest $6,000 into a course. And the people on this call, maybe they know, I called them to consult them about that. But I said to myself, like, how can I sit here and charge someone else $6,000 if I'm not willing to spend that on my own business? That doesn't make any sense, right? You want to be someone who eats your own dog food, right? So like put the money and put the work in yourself and you will start to attract people who believe that, right? And if you don't believe in this law of attraction stuff, if it sounds too mushy, just give it a try. Just try it, you know, and see how it works. Try to invest in yourself and see how it works, because I'm telling you, like, that makes all the difference. Okay, guys? So like, please, 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 like, invest into your business and really try to figure out how you can grow. Try to find new information, try to find new resources, try to find new opportunities, and be willing to pay, right? Because you're building a business. Businesses have expenses. It's normal. I invested $6,000 to figure out like how to actually generate leads through paid advertising. And I realized I knew so much of the stuff in the course. And like, you could look at that being like, did I just get scammed for $6,000? And the answer is no. I spent $6,000 to not only get the valuable content they just gave me, but I now actually have confidence and confirmation because I know they built a $2 million business that's generating 6 figures a month today using the exact same stuff that they just gave me in that course for $6,000 that I already knew. So now I know that the difference between me and generating a $2 million business is just me getting the work. It's just me deciding to start, right? So that's what you guys have to realize, okay? So if you're digging that, like, come on, let's keep leveling up. Let's keep leveling up. So now let's talk about part 2B, embracing an abundance mindset. This is so key. This is like one of the things that's transformed everything of me. Like when you start raising your prices, what you're going to realize is that like, you're going to have to start telling people no, as you see in bullet number 4, right? But like, that's okay because you have to realize there's no shortage of money like in the world. Like this stuff right here, money is getting printed every day. It's just paper, bro. And the Federal Reserve, they're bringing it out every single day. There's enough money to go around, y'all. The internet is so vast and it's only 4.5 billion people on it. Half the world is not even on the internet yet. Think about that. That's half the world who is not even on the internet yet. And think about how much opportunity there is. So like, there is no shortage of money or opportunity. So do not be afraid to say no to people and to raise your prices and to narrow your focus. You're going to have to say no in the short term, but that's going to help you get to where you want to be in the long term. You know, TD Jakes has like, he has a sermon where he's talking about how like one of the biggest things that people struggle with is they're trying to get to where they're going, but they keep holding on to where they've been. They keep holding on to all this extra baggage. They're scared to tell that client who's only paying them $200 and who has 20 million revisions and who doesn't want to like adjust the scope of work. They're too scared. They're too scared to say, I can't work with you anymore. I'm firing you as a client. I have had to fire clients mid-project. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. We can't do this. No, you can get your money back, but we can't do this because as a creative, as you see in bullet number 3, you need to protect your energy. You need to protect your zen because we create from spirit. We create from that mystical something, right? Of connecting different ideas, right? And so when you get these clients from hell, when you get these clients who just drag you on, they pay the least money, and they want the most out of you, right? Like when you get those people, like you're draining your creative energy. You can't even do your best work anymore because you're just so fed up. They hit you up on an email and you're just like, I've had emails from clients where I want to just throw my phone at the wall. I'm just like, oh my God, this is so annoying, right? And they're not actually even worth my time. I'm sorry, it's not. Right. But I was too scared to say no because I'm like, well, it's $200 and I don't know. No. You need to protect yourself. There's no shortage of money. Right. And when you have a system, when you establish yourself as an expert, when you're showing your value, you can now have opportunities coming to you all the time. So it's okay to say no. Now I don't mind saying no. I'm like, no, if you don't have at least $5,000, it's not worth us having a conversation. I'm sorry. I'm willing to do a free consultation. I give you some advice, you go to somebody else and help you, sure. I'll give you a recommendation, but I can't invest my time because I have somewhere I'm trying to go. So if you're not going there, we can't go there together. I'm trying to turn that 5K into 50 for you. If that's something that you want to do, let's do this. But if you're not talking that, we can't have a conversation, right? If you ain't talking money, I don't want to talk. That's really how it has to be, right? So learn to say no. And when you respect yourself and your work and your value, people are going to respect you too, right? People are going to respect people who respect themselves. When I tell you that that's what I'm charging, there's now a certain way that there's a category that you put me in, right? That's how you have to be, right? Respect your value as a creative. And a lot of times people don't realize that creatives are like, you guys have this mystical thing. Like, it's like non-creatives don't understand creativity. And so it just looks like a black box. It's just like how non-engineers or non-technical people, they don't understand all the magic juju that's actually happening inside of a computer, right? So it just seems like a magic black box where you just type in something and then you get what you want, right? But that's actually the same thing with creativity. And that's why you can have these astronomical margins, right? Like the same work that you could get from contractors. Like I've literally seen these companies, Deloitte, Accenture, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. Guess what they're all doing, guys? They're outsourcing to India. That's what they're doing. These $1 million projects for the government, they're outsourcing it to India, y'all. So if the biggest companies in the world doing multi-million dollar, tens of $1 million, huge projects for large clients, where do they get the execution? They sell it, they get somebody else to do it. It's the same work. It's the same work, y'all. It's the same work, right? But they attracted the right clients. They showed the right value. They established themselves as an expert. And they're doing it at such a high level because they've been in the game for so long and they figured out the key, right? So guys, like the same stuff that people are outsourcing to India, you can do the same and then add your margin on top of that, right? But again, you don't just want to like throw your client in the water. You want to actually add value through the creative process. You want to get into a place where you're charging for your thinking. You get paid for your perspective. You get paid because people want your vision. People want the way you see the world. That's the power. That's what the people are paying for. When somebody comes to say, graphic design this for me, they want you to take your brain and all this amazing stuff that you've learned, and they want you to translate that into something. They want to see with your eyes. So get to a point where you're charging for your thinking, okay? So major key alert. Shout out DJ Khaled. And then here's another thing. Never lower your prices. Never lower your prices. When people tell you $5,000, $20,000 is too much, that's like, yeah, that's fine, right? So how can we adjust the scope so that it makes sense for you, right? Don't lower your prices. When they say, oh, no, I can't do that. That's like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Well, that's actually what's going to cost. But if you can't do that, we can break it up into milestones. We can split up the payment, right? Like you're now adjusting the structure, but you don't flex on price. Because when you do that, you get right back into that zone that we talked about earlier where you're dealing with the clients from hell, okay? And you don't want to do that. So either lower the scope or add more value, okay? Like a big thing for me is like, I started like adding more value, and that allows me to now increase my prices. When you come to me, say, I need an app, I'm not just going to come to you with an app design anymore. I'm going to say, yeah, I can build you an app, and then I can build you the website you need for your app, and then I can build you a pitch deck, and then I can build you a promo video, and then I can help you actually manage your campaigns on a recurring basis, right? So now you come to me looking to spend $4,000, but you leave with like, a 5-figure bill, right? And it's not anything wrong. And I'm actually adding that much value. And so like, you're about to get 10x whatever I'm about to put into it, right? That's how you have to come, okay? And you got to always remember that, like, again, one client is all it takes to change your life. Like, this is something that Morgan, like, she's on this call. This is something we talk about all the time. One client, one deal can change everything for you. You just need one. The coaching program that I just signed up for, they went through it, and the guy, one of the people in the program with me, within his first 50 days, closed a deal where he's making $18,000 a month in a retainer fee, and he's helping an e-commerce store. E-commerce stores, they're selling products. They have product. They're making money. They know they need marketing and design, right? This guy comes in and he can add value. He's shown his worth. He's an expert. He's valuable. And when he says, I'm going to charge you a percentage of, your ad spend or your revenue generated in exchange for XYZ that you agree on, it's worth $18,000 to the company. You just need to figure out who those people are and how you get in front of them, right? And now with these online tools, you can do that, right? So again, if you got an $18,000 client today, how would your life change? Like I was thinking a couple months ago, I'm like, I just need to find someone to give me one website a month, and then I'll be good. I just want to build a lifestyle business. I'm not worried about scaling this to a 7-figure agency right now. Like, let's give me a lifestyle business where I can be comfortable and I have flexibility and I do what I love, right? But then I changed my thinking and I was like, well, instead of trying to find one new client every month to give me a website, how about I just get one client who I can just add value for consistently, which now resulted in that $30,000 deal that I just talked to you guys about. So like now I have one client who, instead of me going to find one new website every month, they're paying me $6,000 every month, right? After the setup fee. And now I got 4 months of just having that revenue coming in, right? And I'm sure, he's telling me, he has a huge expansive network, right? Where he's like, I know so many people who need your type of help, who have money, who have experience, who understand the value of digital in the new economy. Because, maybe they're boomers and they see like how things are changing. And so they're willing to invest. And like, I even saw a tweet yesterday that was like, the older you get, the more you're willing to pay for convenience. So a lot of people who are older, more established in their business, they're willing to make that investment because they care about time. They don't have time to waste. They want somebody to do it well. They want somebody to do it right. And they want to get it done the first time. They don't want to go to Upwork and end up in revision hell, on like 20 million different revisions, and the guy can't get it right because he doesn't really speak English that well. And it's no fault on him. He's just doing the best with what he got, right? But people who are like serious about hitting their business goals, they don't want that. How do you meet those people? You need to start attracting them. How do you attract them? You need to get serious yourself. Okay, that's how it goes. It seems like somebody's coming off of mute. You got a quick question to ask before we get into the rest of the content? 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. No. All right. Well, and then the final point here is being cheap is not an advantage. A lot of people think that, if I make myself the lowest cost provider, I'm gonna get more clients, right? And like, yeah, you can like, structure yourself so that your offering is competitive, but you don't want to be the cheapest option in the room, actually. You don't like, there's no advantage to being the cheapest. Like if you can't be the cheapest, then you should probably just be the most expensive. Because I mean, like, why be the cheapest? Like you don't have to. And people actually value things more when they invest, regardless of what the value is. When I put down 6Gs, when I put down 5Gs for my website, when I put up whatever, I'm going to make sure I get my money's worth because that money means something to me. And now my butt is on the table. I got skin in the game, as they say. So when people are putting money down, like they're more invested into being good clients for you. They're more invested into actually getting things that, getting like the worth, right? And so like, think about that. Like when you actually are just making yourself more expensive actually helps your business because it now gives you the value of being a premium provider, right? There's a story of a jewelry merchant who was trying to move this last bit of inventory, and they were trying everything, man. They put a 50% off discount. They did a BOGO, buy one, get one free. You know what I'm saying? They were trying everything, and nobody was buying the jewelry. And then, like, the store owner came and told them to try a different type of promotion, and the poor clerk, like, they accidentally made it double the price instead of putting the next discount that the store owner wanted to try. And within an hour, the jewelry sold out. Same jewelry. Was trying forever to sell it. They couldn't. Just by doubling the price, people bought it, right? Because when people see high price tags, they're like, oh, that's quality. I want quality. Because people want quality because they want to be quality people because they want to invest in themselves, right? Once you understand that psychology, once you understand that mindset, now you understand why it's actually better for you to be a more expensive provider. It's actually better for you to go up the pricing scale, okay? And that's why I keep telling you guys, like, everything's about mindset, all right? So now let's get into the next thing, which is you need to know your worth and you need to be comfortable developing it. So this is, again, something like very tangible that you can take away today. Okay, now I've sold you guys on why you need to increase your prices and why it's like a big deal. How much do I charge? I don't know. Like, where do I start? Very simple thing that you can do. If you were hired for a project today, right, go scope out what the project is and see if you can outsource it to somebody and see what quote that you can get on Elance, Upwork, Fiverr, TopTal. There are a myriad of different like white label agencies and like websites to get like freelancers to help you out. Charge just 3 times whatever it would cost you to outsource it. Just simple. Just start there. Just start there. Today, whatever project you got coming in the pipeline, whatever it would cost you to get it done somewhere else, right? You just charge 3x that. And what you're doing is that like you're actually now starting to like slowly clone yourself out of the business, which we'll get into like on the other slides, right? And this may seem like very arbitrary because it kind of is, but there's some science behind it. But like pricing yourself is really more of an art than in science. And one thing you can do as well, like beyond this 3x formula, is you should just set a very high hourly rate for yourself and just start telling people that's what you do. Like I just made a decision that like, I just like the way $5,000 sounds. You know what I mean? I just like the way 10 sounds. Like it just sounds nice to me. So that's what I say. That's what I charge. And that's now my new reality. Now when you start telling people, when they reach out to you, your friends, when they're like, hey, I got a project for them, like, yeah, if they don't got at least 5 Gs, it doesn't make sense for us to talk. Just straight up. Free consultation for sure. I'm down to help because I love people, I love helping, but I can't give you my services because my time is just too tight right now. And when you start telling people that, when you just like literally just tell your mom, tell your friends, tell your internet posse, you know, you now start creating a social contract, which is again a psychology principle where you now start to identify yourself as someone who does this. Anytime you say I am this to the world, the brain has a need to be consistent with what it says. It's one of the fundamentals of like human psychology, right? Like when I say something to you, I now have to be consistent, which is why you feel a little bit funny if you're lying, right? Unless you like, you know, kind of just like go way off and just go way off the conscious lever, right? But like when you do that, you create like a social contract for yourself. And you need to start practicing asking that. Like Dan Lok, he's another major internet marketing guy. I think he's worth like maybe 50 million, got like a couple million subscribers on YouTube, huge tribe, a very loyal audience who rides for him. And he puts out a lot of good content. And he was telling about when he started doing exactly this process. And he even has a training program that I can include in on YouTube for free that talks about this. When he started charging 10 grand for copywriting, just copywriting, not branding, not social media management, just the copy, just writing email sales letters, you know, and writing copy, words on a page. I know how to say things in a way that gets people excited, and I'm going to charge you 10 grand for that. When his mentor told him to start doing that, he was like, dude, come on, man. I'm charging 1,000 for this now. You want me to charge 10? Like, bro, like, can I actually do that? I don't know, you know? And so when he first started practicing, like he would say, like, you know, he would practice, what would the client say? It's like, okay, well, how much would that be? And he's like, $10,000. You know, he started laughing. You know, he say $10,000 and he started doing like a nervous twitching thing, or he kind of gets like fidgety or weird, you know, because he didn't believe it yet. He didn't believe he was worth $10,000 yet, you know? So what did he have to do? He had to practice it until you can say the number and you don't flinch. You can say the number and you look the client in the eyes. And it's like, how much is that going to be? $10,000. There's nothing else that needs to be said. After you say the number, the silence after the number is one of the most important things in sales, right? People, they're gonna be quiet, and you may be tempted to fill it in and start justifying. But when you do that, you're actually giving away your power. When you do that, you're like $10,000 because when you actually join me, and then I'm gonna do this, and you just start explaining, and then no, just reel it in, my brother, reel it in. It's 10,000. That's what it is. How do you want to move forward? And then you pause. The only way you can get to that is if you're practicing in the mirror. If you're practicing on your video, like do video calls where you're looking at yourself and you're practicing. You're recording your voice. You do practice sales calls with friends. You need to practice it. You need to reinforce it to yourself, like this is worth that much. And like confidence is everything. And confidence can only be built through practice. And it's like, no matter where you are, your time is worth that much. Like if you just think about like, how much would you pay to go back in time with all the knowledge that you had now? How much would you pay for an extra year of life? If you had $10 million, you think if Mark Zuckerberg had 50 million, which he does, you don't think he would invest that to go back to being like, you know, 21 again with all the game he knows now, with working with all these governments and stuff, and just build Facebook even faster to get to like 2 billion users, 10 billion across all products, like in less than 15 years, get it in 5? You wouldn't do that? Your time and your life is priceless. Like for real. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like your time, your life, it's actually worth $10,000 for you to spend a month on a project. It's actually probably worth a lot more because you're investing your life energy. You're taking your gift that you've been blessed with by the universe, by the source, and you're giving it to somebody else. Okay? Like it's worth that much, right? So you guys have to really like challenge yourself to believe in your own worth, right? And that's why I keep saying it's mind over matter. Like understand like your life is invaluable. Your creativity is a real talent that so many people would kill for. They would just kill to make an outfit the way you make an outfit, to exercise the way you exercise, to articulate themselves the way you articulate themselves. And so let them fund your vision. Let them invest into you. Let you guys work together. And imagine how happy you would be knowing You just made $10,000 and it's only going to take you a couple weeks to do this. There's even a great book called The Win Without Pitching Manifesto, where he talks about, he had a client pay him $3,000 for something he got done in an hour. Didn't matter how long it took for him to get done. It matters what is it worth to the client. And we'll get into that in the next couple secrets. So guys, like, just raise your prices. Just today, just make a decision that, like, I'm expensive, baby. So if you wanna ride this train, you gotta come with the stacks. You dig it? Can you dig it? It can be dug. It's the truth, though. It's the truth. All right, so now let's get into secret number 3. I know I'm talking so much, guys, but I'm really trying my best to pour out the value, and I hope you guys are feeling that. So thank you guys for staying on the call and for really dialing in. Like, I really appreciate y'all. So yeah, let's talk about sales. Sales. Everybody likes that money. Money is awesome, right? So the sales process is a story. It's a story. It's a journey. And once you understand the core principles of storytelling, the hero's journey, some of you guys in the film industry may know about that, you'll understand how that actually translates to all aspects of life. And what you want to do with your clients is you want to take them on a journey with you. You want to kind of tango with them, and you want to spoon feed them their solution. So how do you actually do that? Well, let's get into it. You're going to have 2 calls. And this is my exact process, guys. It's not more complicated than this. Literally. The same. This is what people are doing when they're charging 6 figures for a website, and it's what they're doing when they're charging 5, or when they're charging 500. First call is you want to get answers to a couple key questions. Okay. You want to know, like, where do these people actually want to go? Where they want to go? Like, well, we need a website. Why? Well, we need to post our products. Why? Well, we just spent, a lot of money making these products, and we need to make sure we get some sales. Why? Well, because our organization's goal is to get to $2 million in sales in the next 2 years. Oh, okay, cool. So you ask them where they're going, and then you keep asking why, until you drill down to get the real meat of it, right? And then you try to figure out, okay, well, you need to sell X amount of product to meet your goals. You got investor meetings, you got pitches, all this type of organizational stuff. There's a business reading. Cool. Like, well, what's blocking you? What's getting in the way of you actually achieving your goals? Well, we have a lot of investment ready, but, we just don't have anybody who understands this design stuff. Like, you want to talk finance, you want to talk, budgeting and all that. I can talk that all day, but all this design, marketing, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what's going on there. Okay. So now you identify what is the wall that's in between them and getting to where they want to go. Okay. And then you need to figure out what would it be worth for them to go there. Right. And then you ask them, like, do you want me to help you? Do you have references? You figure out where do they want to go? What's the blocker? What's the fence? What's the hurdle they have to get over? Okay. What does it mean to their business? And try to get numbers. Numbers are key. Try to get a goal that you can tie your work to. Whether that's increasing awareness, whether that's making people feel good, whether that's having just a beautiful and compelling brand so that when you're pitching to partners, you come off as professional and they're buying the vision that you're selling them. Okay. Like, figure out what it's worth to them. What does it mean for them to get a flyer, to get a social media strategy, to get graphic design? Figure out what that is. And then figure out, like, okay, well, do you have any references? Like, what can I do? And you guys already know about the references game, like, because you don't want to start from scratch. You want to, like, really figure out what is it that they want. And so all you're doing is you're just asking them, like, hey man, what do you want? Like, let me get to know you. Like, let's talk. Let's connect. Let's vibe. I like to say vibe because I live in California, but, like, you try to get that type of energy. And then you take all that, you compute it, you digest it, and then you figure out how do you present your offer. And when you're presenting your offer, you're literally just walking them through what they just told you. You're just repeating what they said, but you're doing it in an intelligent fashion that shows that you were listening and you can help them get to where they want to go. There's no magic juju in the sales process. Figure out what they want and then tell them, okay, I'm going to give you what you want. That's it. And all these bullets, they just speak to that core point. So, like, okay, context, where are we now? What's going on in the business? What's the situation? What's the scuttlebutt? What's the 411? Where are you? What's happening in your environment? Macro, micro. What's the pressure you're getting from stakeholders? Start with that, right? And then you need to figure out, all right, well, this is where we are. And this is what we need to do, because this is where we're going, right? This is where we are, and we need to get to there. And to get to there, we got to do some stuff. So this is the stuff that we got to do to there, right? And that's literally just taking, where are you going? That question, boom, you fill it in there. And then you'll be like, okay, well, what deliverables are you actually going to get? Like, what am I going to make for you? Give them something tangible. Everybody loves tangible stuff, right? Give them something tangible. And then you'll actually show them, what is your process? Going back to secret number 1, process is everything. So I'm like, all right, you said you want to go there, and you got this blocker that's in front of you, but let me show you the process I'm going to walk you through to get you to where you want to go. Okay. And then let me show you some proof that I know I can get you there, because I have some case studies and a highlight reel and some past projects that are awesome. Okay. I got some testimonials of everyone saying, like, he got me there. He said he was going to get me there, and then he did. And then she did. And it's awesome. Okay. So have that proof ready. Okay. And then present your offer. And like we said, like, embrace the silence after the close. Don't fidget. Practice the close. Practice your sales presentations. Don't go in there like, just winging it. No. You want to have a game plan, right? Because you're holding their hand and you're taking them on a journey, and they're trusting you. It's like you're getting in the driver's seat, and they're sitting right there with you, and you're taking them to where they want to go, right? And so you want to practice. You want to make sure you got your Google Maps set up. You want to make sure you know where the rest stops are, like practice, okay? And then the appendix, this is one thing that's been so key for me lately, especially the housekeeping and the scope and the additional offers, key. Like, I have rules of engagement for how you work with me. Like, I'm going to tell you how to work with me and how I work best. We do bi-weekly sprints. So that means every 2 weeks we'll have a sprint check-in, and then we'll have communication along the project. I tell them how frequently to expect communication. When we work together, our communication, SLA, which is like a corporate term, service level agreement, it just means my promise to you. That's it. But we use big words because we're professionals. Our SLA is 1 to 3 days. Okay. Our goal is to get same day communication, but in some cases, we may need to process your message. It may take 2 days to get back to you. I just put it out there. I'm I just want to let you know there could be worst case scenarios. But we're going to aim for the best. Okay. And then you give them additional offers. So at the back of all my decks, I always have an appendix, which is like a price sheet. And it shows all the other things I can do for your business that can help you get to the next level. Like I said, you come to me for an app, you need a brand, you need a flyer. I'm going to sell you the full funnel. I'll give you multiple options. And you know what I'm going to do for you guys? I'm actually going to show you, let me move this. How do you get this out of here? I'm going to show you a real proposal. I think this is my first 10 grand project. And I'll show you how simple it is. The deck was white, literally white slides. How many slides we got here? 11 slides, guys. Nothing fancy. I start off, I use a little very simple image. All you graphic designers are probably like, dude, what is this guy doing? This doesn't even look good. I know, guys. It was quick and dirty, but I just put it on here to be aspirational, right? And people love seeing themselves. So this is a personal trainer who has a personal training business. And so I'm like, hey man, I want you to see yourself and I want you to see your app. Okay. What did I start with? This is our mission, grounding ourselves in where are we going? We want to design a breakthrough experience. Cool. Where are you going? Here. Okay. Next thing, what problem are we solving? Because I'm a problem solver. I don't make things pretty. I solve problems. It's hard to find the right trainer. There's not a lot of built platforms. Once you find a trainer, it's hard to manage a relationship. This gets overwhelming for trainers and disorganized for clients. 3 sentences, white slide, no customization. And then I ask them, does this sound, every time you're like, and we'll talk about this in the sales section, but then I just pause and I'm like, does this make sense? Is this how you're seeing things? Is this what you want? Do I have a good understanding of the problem? And they're like, yes. I'm like, cool. Next thing, how do we actually bring the vision to life? Process. What do you actually, well, it's not the process. It's like the tasks and the deliverables. It's like, what does it need to do? And it gets through clients need to do this. Trainers need to be able to do this. So all the functionality. And then it's like, how is it different? Like, what's different about this? Well, we want it to be more than a trainer client app. We want it to be a social hub. Cool. What do we need to do? What's the process? Like, well, step 1, we got to do the requirements and the vision, customer profile, competitive audit, brand identity and design system, information architecture, wireframes, and mockups. I could have just said, we just need to make an app. And just left it there. You see what I'm saying? but that wouldn't have had the same impact. So I list out every single sub process that happens, every single step, list it out because people need to know where you're going. And then this is where the sales psychology comes in. Here are what your challenges are. I'm telling you, this is where we're going. This is what you need to do. And here are going to be the things that you need to be worried about. Well, it's going to be kind of hard, and you don't have any design or product manager. So we're really building a new muscle for your business, right? And you're in the growth phase right now, and you need the products and the UX help, okay? And here's what I say is like, okay, those are your challenges. Those are the blockers that you have, right? Again, question number 2, what are your challenges? What's in the way? And then we say, what do you need in a partner? And here I'm just like, dude, if you don't even go with me, these are the things you actually want to check for, which is true. You need someone who understands the business, the strategy, startups, because you're an early stage company, solopreneur with funding, but like funding from having their own successful business, but really nothing else. You need someone who can understand your vision, because a lot of times clients, they have this big idea of where they want to go, but like they don't really know how to translate it into something tangible, right? That's where we come in. You need someone who gives you peace of mind and handles feedback, and it saves you time and money in the long run, and it saves costs. And this is something I always like to do. I'm like, hey, look, we're expensive, okay? And so you can go to Upwork and, get this done for $500. But what you're going to get is you're going to get into revision hell, which all creatives we know about. And I always remind people about that. You don't want to be working on a project you thought was going to get done in 4 weeks, and then it's 4 months later and you're not even halfway there, which happens so much. I've been burned like that so many times with subcontractors as well as people that I've hired for my own other businesses. And so I'm already letting them know you have 2 options. You can go the cheap way, which is easier in the short term but harder in the long term, or you can go the right way, which requires an investment up front, but what's going to get you what you actually want. And then I show them, hey, this is what I bring to the table. This was like the first version of that slide that I showed you guys with all my accomplishments and stuff. Simple, white. I show 1 testimonial. I say, like, look, you don't have to just take it from me, though. Like, I know I have those results, but like what really makes me happy is getting these types of messages from clients who are like, our ROI with Malik has been one of the best investments we've made, right? And so I'm already preceding them. As soon as they start saying it's too expensive, I'm going to be like, yeah, I know. Everybody says that, but it's one of the best investments that you can make. And then I give them 3 options. I give you the timeline. And I let you know, hey, option 1, you can get requirements, all this. And I'm just resurfacing what I said earlier, right? App design is going to include all this. Here are the bonuses. You can go option 2. You can go option 3. And this was like one of the first times I started doing options. And like the last time I did an app, I just said, hey, the app is going to cost $4,000. I was charging $4,000. And I didn't do anything else, and that was it. But then I put multiple options on here. I just tested that out, and without hesitating, the client instantly said, I want the $10,000 option. Instantly. I was actually surprised because I didn't think he could afford it, which is another bad thing. Never think that people can't afford stuff. Don't decide for them. Give them a chance to make it happen, because if people really want something, they'll find a way to afford it. There's too many ways. PayPal, credit, Affirm, credit cards, whatever. And we don't want people to go in debt and hurt themselves. But if you need to invest into your business, there's always a way to find the money to invest, right? Because money is abundant. But without hesitating, this client went for $10,000. And if I didn't just put these other 2 columns on there, which I just added a website and a pitch deck and a video, I wouldn't have got it. And when I showed them this option, I knew how much money they were making as trainers. I was like, really, that $10,000 is like what? Like another 5-10 clients? You don't think you're going to get that after you finish this branding project with me? Come on, guys. Right? And so that's what happens. And it doesn't have to be any more complicated than this. There's no secret sauce. Just tell a story. Okay. And so that's what's happening in the sales process. And so now, and this is kind of getting into what I just talked through in the proposal. Like, you show them what's going to happen if you get the cheaper option, you justify your offer. And then here's the thing that you got to realize, like, just because somebody complains doesn't mean you have to fold. Never lower price. Always adjust the value in the offer. Okay. And then make sure you insert trial closes throughout your presentation. This is a huge thing from psychology, where you're always asking questions to make sure that people are following you. And what happens is, anytime you get someone to say yes one time, it's always easier to get the next yes. Like Russell Brunson in this book, one of the best books I've ever read, he talks about he was working on a webinar that wasn't converting. Like he had the webinar, he had it going, it wasn't generating any sales, even though the offer was really good and it could help a lot of people. he went back and just included a bunch of questions where he's like, hey, does this make sense? Hey, are you liking this? Like I'm doing now. And like as soon as people are nodding, you're like, yeah, I like that. Like once you get someone to say yes the first time, it's always easier to get to say yes the second time, which is why Amazon has that module called People Also Bought. And when you're on the checkout page in your cart, you always see other things. And when you check out on Amazon, before you check out, they like, if you're on Amazon Fresh, they're always like, hey, did you want to order some other stuff before we confirmed your order? And it's so much easier to like say yes to that order because you've already signed up for the order, right? So you want to just give people a low barrier to entry and have them doing that. And so that's a major key. And I'll send that in the recap email with some deets on that. And the key is like, people cower as soon as people show a little resistance, as soon as you make an offer and they're just like, oh no, I can't afford it. I don't have the budget. I need to go talk to my partner. I don't know. Let me think about it. People are like, okay, well, if you can do 5,000, can you do 1,000? Don't be that person. Like you need to be ready to deal with that resistance. And what I'm about to give you on the next couple slides are ways that you can justify your price. And so this is going to be key. You may want to reference this back in the recording to get on that value. So if they say it's too much money, here's what you say. Yeah, I totally agree. It's expensive. I know it's a lot of money, but to be honest, you knew that before you got here, right? And all our clients they say the same thing. We should just do it anyway, right? Because when people are saying it's too much money, they're just complaining. Right? People complain about things all the time, but they still do it. Like it's not an objection to the value that you provide. They're just complaining about the fact that it's too much money. So what? Like just get to it. And then you say, hey, you should do it now because the longer you wait, the more expensive it's going to get. And it's better to pay a little bit extra and make sure that you get what you want than to pay a little bit less and end up making a mistake and then end up like going through revisions forever. And it's better to get it right than it is to get it cheap. Right. And honestly, like that's what money is for. Like money is a medium of exchange. You use it to get something that you want. So the question is, would you exchange your money for these results? 207 increase in reach, 135% in engagement. Clients saying this is the best ROI that they ever made. Right. And we all have disposable income. Right. So we can make this work if we really wanted to. But like, the money's going to come back and you're probably going to blow it on stuff that you don't even need, shopping on Amazon randomly when you know you shouldn't, or you could use it to invest in your business and get the results that you want. I didn't say anything about lowering the price, but I just made you feel comfortable in investing that extra couple grand. That's how you have to handle objections. Okay. And the second thing is like, oh, okay, well, I need to think about it. People love doing that because they're scared to make a decision. Just like I was scared to invest into that program, right? I was like, oh, I need to think about it. It's like, yeah, I understand. And you shouldn't just say, okay, well, think about it and then I'll get back to you. No. You ask them this. Well, do you think like 2 or 3 days is long enough or maybe 2 to 3 weeks would be better? And they'll usually always say like 2 or 3 days. And that's when you hit them with like, well, the truth is like, no matter how long you wait, you're going to actually be faced with the same 3 questions. Like 1, do you need to solve this problem right now? This is costing you money in your business right now. Like 2, does this product actually get you what you want? If we get you this website, we designed the way I showed you with all these other cases, it's going to get you what you want. And then 3 is like, am I the kind of person that you want to do business with? Right? If the answer is yes to all those 3 questions, then let's do this right now. Right? And then another thing you can hit them was like, honestly, like thought is instantaneous. Like you don't need to think about it. Like we thought about it just now. It's either a yes or no. Right? Like you need to make a decision though. And like some people, they want to just avoid making a decision because they're scared. But you have to make them feel comfortable in that, right? So like you thinking about it isn't going to change the fact that you need the product. It saves you money. It saves your company money, and you're going to get it. You're going to have to get it sooner or later. So the longer you wait, the more time it takes, the more expensive it's going to become. So let me ask you a question. Let's do this now. How do you want to move forward? Boom. Now you just handle that objection. Simple. Right? You don't let people fall out of the sales process. They want you to hold their hand because they want to feel comfortable. It's like when you're crossing a bridge or something and like you're with like your daughter or your son and they get nervous, like they just want to feel safe and secure. And that's kind of your job as a salesperson. You need to take care of people and make them feel secure along the way. And another thing is like, oh, well, I need to consult my partners. I need to consult my wife. I can't spend money without my wife knowing, or I can't do this, or I got to talk to my girlfriend. Like, yeah, I get that. Totally. Well, honestly, if you're anything like me, my spouse or my CFO, like we talk about everything. In fact, like they probably already know that you're out doing this, right? And so like let me ask you, do they know that you're here? Like, do they know that you're in the meeting? Cool, they know. Cool. Like then they know that you're looking at this machine. They know that you need it, right? They know your company needs this. So what's stopping you from doing it now? Boom. Get away from that complaint and back into the sale. Another thing is like, oh, what if your spouse or partner says no? Right? If you don't, like, well, then no, they're not going to say no. They're ready. And it's like, okay, well, if they're not going to say no, let's just do it. Like sign here. Like, or if they say they would say no, they won't buy. It's like, okay, well, what are they going to say no to? Is it the product that's not right, or is the money that's not right? And then you now go back into the other loop where you talk about, does a product get you what you want? And money is actually not an issue because you need to make the investment. And then another way that you can handle that is like, well, honestly, like, hey, like I need to consult my spouse, my CFO. It's like, well, come on, just between us, it's always better to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission. Like, you need this. So let's just stop wasting time so that we can start getting you results in your business. Boom, sales close. Just like that, right? So like make sure that you're supporting people throughout the entire process. And this is going to be in the deck as well. So you guys will have this to reference and you can use it in your sales calls this week, next week, whenever. And if all else fails and you try everything, get a commitment from them that you can revisit it in the future. Like, okay, well, I know that you can't do this now. We've tried everything, but can I get an agreement for you that we can revisit this in the future? And then you try to get a date, right? And then you put a date on the calendar. If they're scared to put it, hold their hand through that process. That's what they want, right? And then you help them get to what they want. And so now we just walk through a whole bunch of stuff, from branding yourself to knowing your worth, to structuring your offer, to navigating the sales process. And now it's like, all right, well, how do you execute on autopilot? How do you make sure you get everything what they want? Process. Process is what separates the professionals from the amateurs. And the difference is like process is what people pay for. Thinking is what people pay for. So you need to show them that you have a great process. So before you bring on any high ticket clients, you need to map out your entire process and create templates for each step so that your whole business is plug and play. Because when someone's going to pay you 10 grand, they're going to, even if you do sell them, they're going to feel that money leave. And when money leaves, you kind of feel it, And what you want to do is you want to make them feel secure that they just made the right decision. You don't want them to experience buyer's remorse, right? And so when you have your process down pat, you have your emails ready to go, you have your contract ready to go, you have everything ready to go while you're on the proposal call. Literally, as soon as they say yes, you can be like, yep, actually, you can actually just check your email now. I just sent over the proposal contract. Take a look through it. Let me know if you have any questions. I'd love to get this signed now so we can start working on this ASAP, right? Then you send them the thank you email instantly. It's already pre-populated. You just change out the client's name, right? So you want to templatize your business as much as possible, right? And you just don't want to lose any momentum in the actual sales process, right? You want to remove stress for your clients. You don't want to add stress, right? Because the worst thing, if you don't do this step, the most critical one, and you land a big deal client, right? And you don't have your stuff together, they're just going to fall out of the funnel. They're going to be like, what did I just pay 10 grand for? Right? But when you show that you have all your ducks in a row, when you show that this is not your first rodeo, and when you show that you're a professional and you're running a business, they're going to be like, that's what I paid for. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for being professional. Now I can go focus on all the other things that are important in my business that need my attention. Okay. And so if you want to get to the next level, you need to clone yourself out of the business and templatize it as much as possible and spend your time working on your business and not in your business. Okay. And that's it. That is all the content. It's so much, I know, guys. And like I said, I'll send all of this out to you.